I can see a scenario where manufacturing collapses in the United States. It's like a bad dream, but it could happen. I mean, you saw what happened during the last recession.
When you, as an economy, get rid of your manufacturing base, the results are very cataclysmic. You have a domino effect of decline that starts to affect everybody in every industry.
But what happens is all the businesses around the factory and in that city or town close down too. The dry cleaners, the diners, the bowling alleys, the doctors, the accountants, the banks, everything sooner or later goes, because the job base that brought all the financial wherewithal into the town has disappeared, has moved abroad or somewhere else. So the whole town is essentially empty.
And when property values depreciate, now we have to lay off firefighters and police officers and teachers. And now we're not collecting enough revenue for the state to invest in education and higher education. So all these things are all interconnected.
When I started in this business, people said, well, high technology is going to be our saving grace. So it doesn't matter that we're moving certain manufacturing jobs offshore. But at least they've honestly stopped saying that, because there's not much high technology made in the United States anymore. We have an enormous trade deficit.
The United States is a great country, but it has a number of fundamental imbalances, one of which is the trade imbalance.
The trade deficit sounds very esoteric for people, but here's what it is. You have goods that you're selling abroad. Those are your exports that you're making in the United States. Then you have goods that you're importing from overseas. Those are your imports. When you add the exports up and then you subtract the imports, that's your trade balance. For a long time in the United States, in fact, for several decades, we've had a trade deficit and has grown almost every year.
When you end up importing more than you export, you end up having to owe people money. And sometimes you have to borrow it from people who may or may not have the same interest that you have. And to the extent that you do that for the short term, it's not a problem. But to the extent that you're doing it on a recurring basis, and to a greater extent, it is a big problem. Ultimately, you need to produce more than you consume if you want the future to be better than the past.